Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Pokemon Silver Nuzlocke, starting right where we left off last time. And of course, we have to do the... I guess we don't have to do it. I thought for some reason that we had to do the catching tutorial, but I guess it's skippable in this game. I know in certain games, I don't remember which ones they are, but certain games, the catching tutorial is actually unskippable, which is kind of annoying if you've played the game before. But anyways, our first encounter is a Hoot. So this is going to be our first addition to the team, and I didn't get any nickname suggestions in the last video, so if you guys have any nickname suggestions for Pokemon that might be coming up later on, be sure to leave those in the comments. And honestly, I'll take just about anything. I mean, I'll keep the right to refuse a name if it sounds kind of silly or dumb or something like that, but I mean, I'll take any suggestions you want to leave as for nicknames for Pokemon that I may end up catching later. Hoot and Noctowl I have used in a fairly recent playthrough, I think, actually. I was doing a... I don't remember now. I feel like I was doing a Nuzlocke of Platinum, and I used a Hoot and a Noctowl, and they actually did pretty decent, so I'm looking forward to using a Hoot once again. So let's go ahead and name him... Okay, we're going to go ahead and name Hoot Luke, after a member of the local Pokemon League that I'm a part of, and I play the trading card game with, who seems to rather like Hoot. There's a bit of an inside joke about that, him and his thing with Hoot. So yeah, that's the reason for that name. And here we got a Rattata. I'm actually glad I got a Hoot rather than a Rattata, because Rattata is very common, and I feel like you probably see Rattata in a lot of Nuzlocke. So to be honest, we're probably gonna end up catching one later. I mean, that's just how that works. Speaking of catching, I don't think I've mentioned this yet, but I think I've got two kind of sub-rules that I want to add in that I don't think I mentioned, and those are the duplicates clause, which basically means that if we catch any Pokemon that we've already caught before, I don't have to catch that. I can go ahead and catch whatever I see that pops up next. And then the other clause is going to be the shiny clause. If I find a shiny Pokemon, I can catch it regardless of whether or not it is the first Pokemon on the route. Just because it's a shiny, you know, and that's pretty cool. I doubt that's going to happen, you know. I mean, it's just not very common to find a shiny in the game, so I kind of have a feeling that's not going to happen, and we're not going to have to deal with that. But, I mean, you never know when you're going to find a shiny. Anyway, so now we're heading up to, back to where we were before, basically. So I'll go ahead and cut until we get back to, basically the split in the path before we get to Mr. Pokemon's house. Okay, so actually, before we get back up to where I meant to get to, this is actually a new route as well. So we're going to get a chance to catch another Pokemon here as well. So let's go ahead and find Hoot. And as I mentioned before, this is going to fall under duplicates clause, so we're not going to catch this Hoot. We can go ahead and find out whatever comes up next. By the way, one thing I wanted to kind of talk about, one of the reasons I don't actually like Generation 2, I mean, it is one of my favorites just for pure nostalgia purposes, but one thing I don't like is how it doesn't really let the Johto Pokemon stand on their own. There's a lot of, you know, reusing the old Kanto Pokemon. You see a lot of Pidgeys and Rattatas, and you don't really see as much of like the new Pokemon like Sentret and Hoot. For example, in the first gym, the gym leader doesn't even use any Johto Pokemon. He uses a Pidgey and a Pidgeotto. It seems like that would have been a perfect place to put like a Noctowl, or maybe even like a low-level Skarmory, or I don't know, something more interesting than just more Johto or no, just more Kanto Pokemon. We've already seen hundreds of times. But anyways, I want to go ahead and catch something before we head up to our first trainer battles over there. So let's go ahead and see if anything pops up that's not a Hoot. Okay, so now I found a Rattata, which you know, I mean, what else do you expect? It's the first couple routes of the game. There's not really anything good here just yet. So we're going to catch this Rattata and give it an incredibly interesting name. Once again, I am definitely looking for nickname suggestions for future Pokemon I can catch, because I'm not that great at coming up with nicknames on the spot, and I can't really have any prepared because I don't know what I'm going to run into, but if you're watching the series and you want to leave some suggestions on nicknames in the comments, it would be highly appreciated. So Rattata. What's a good name for a Rattata? Can I think of any famous rats that have been in various forms of media? Alright, I decided to name him Scabbers after the Ron Weasley's pet rat in Harry Potter. So There we go. And now we're going to get into our first couple trainer battles here. So let's make sure we're prepared. I haven't leveled up my other guys just yet. Let's go ahead and run back and heal real quick, and I'll meet you guys back here in a second. Alright, so let's go ahead and fight the first trainer right here. I went ahead and put Luke out in front to try and get some experience for him. And I just realized that I forgot to add Scabbers to the recording again, so let's do that real quick. Alright, so here we go with our first battle against youngster Joey. And we went ahead and put our newfound friend Luke in front so he can get some experience. Let's go ahead and get one attack off real quick and hope that that enemy RATTATA does not get a critical. And then we're going to go ahead and retreat back into our much stronger Tsunami. Just trying to do this to get some more experience for my weaker Pokemon, because right now Tsunami is obviously quite a bit stronger than all the wild Pokemon we'll be finding at this point in time. And any of the trainers' Pokemon as well, actually. Actually, at this point, Tsunami is actually higher leveled than the Pokemon in the first gym and the boss Pokemon of Sprout Tower, which is kind of our first dungeon. So we don't have much to worry about in terms of being leveled high enough for our starter here. We just have to focus on leveling up some of our new friends here. So Luke is leveled up once, so that's good. And youngster Joey was defeated, and now we're going to get his phone number. And this sparked sort of a meme after the release of Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver with Joey and calling you about his top percentage RATTATA. I don't think that text is in this game. I think he says different stuff in this game. But I guess we'll see. We're getting his phone number, so we'll see if he calls us at any point. I believe in this game you can only have up to 10 phone numbers at a time, so we may end up deleting them at some point as we get further in the game. There are certain phone numbers you really do want to have, because certain NPCs will give you certain items that you need, such as evolutionary stones, because there's no other way to get them in these games other than finding them out in dungeons and such like that, and getting them from certain trainers. We actually outlevel this Pidgey, so let's see if we can actually take it out just with Luke alone. That was a critical. Hopefully our opponent is not also getting criticals on us. They are, but it's not too scary, actually. Not doing too much damage. Luke must have pretty decent defenses. So here we go, youngster Mikey, who is not as famous as youngster Joey. He does not have any interesting memes going out about him. Is this actually a new route, or is this part of the previous route? Let's go ahead and take a look at our map. Okay, actually, I'm going to go ahead and run back and get the map, just to be sure. Normally, I don't really care about the map, but, you know, we might need the map just to make sure that we are actually on different routes, because we don't have little pop-ups in this game that tell us when you enter a new route. So I'm going to get the map real quick, and then we'll be right back up there. Alright, so now we have the map, so now we can take a look real quick. I went ahead and skipped all that stuff that the old man has to say, because none of it's really that interesting. It looks like this is still Route 30, which is, I believe, is the route that we just caught Scabbers there at. So the next chance we get is further up this way. It does kind of stink that you don't have the, you know, the little pop-ups that pop up when you enter a new route. Those don't come about until, I think, Crystal version brings them up. I feel like Ruby and Sapphire might have dropped them, but it's kind of unfortunate we don't have that, because we have to actually check manually every time we enter a new route, just to make sure we actually can catch a Pokemon. And yeah, if I do end up accidentally catching a Pokemon I shouldn't, I will release that Pokemon. You know, if you guys see me do something that I'm not supposed to do, just let me know, and I will fix it in the next episode. Alright, so we got Luke up to level 5. I'm kind of concerned that Luke possibly doesn't learn any flying type moves early on, so I guess we'll just have to see what happens. But yeah, because I don't remember, because I don't think I remember seeing Hoot-Hoots with Peck, and I'm pretty sure the Hoot-Hoot in Sprout Tower that the Elder uses does not have Peck, because I'm pretty sure I've gone up against it with a Chikorita before and not had too much issue. So I'm kind of worried that we won't have flying type moves and have that flying type stab, which is would be extremely helpful against all the Bellsprout in Sprout Tower. But unfortunately, we might not have that. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Okay, so we got Dark Cave up here, which I'm going to check out in a second, because I can catch a new Pokemon in there. I mean, I could, or I could possibly save Dark Cave for later. I think I'm going to save it for later. I don't think there's any items I really need in there, and I want to save it just in case, you know, later in the game when I actually catch a higher level Pokemon there. I feel like it might be a good idea to do that. Or otherwise, you know, if I do something stupid in the first gym or against the Elder into Sprout Tower or something like that and lose a Pokemon, I wouldn't mind being able to come back here and pick up another one, just in case, you know. It's kind of like a security measure, a backup Pokemon that I know I have waiting just in case I need one. And there's a level up for Scabbers. That's our first level up for Scabbers, and no new moves yet. I think Scabbers will learn Quick Attack at some point. Alright, and there's Bugcatcher Wade defeated. I believe he can also give you a phone number. We might as well pick up all the... Oh, speaking of phones, here comes youngster Joey. And he's going to talk about his energetic Rattata. It's not a top percentage Rattata, but it's energetic. I suppose that's not quite as good, but... Anyways, Wade is another NPC that you can get the phone number of. I don't think you can get rematches until a little bit later in the game, but we might as well pick up all these phone numbers until we run out of space, at which point we can delete some of the older ones. And Wade, I believe, gives you berries every so often, so that can be pretty useful early in the game. But we'll see if we pick up any berries from him. Speaking of which, I have been collecting all these berry trees off camera, the ones that I haven't shown on camera. So don't worry about commenting saying you're missing the berries, because I did pick them up before I started, or in between when I wasn't recording, all that kind of stuff. So anyways, we should get a new Pokemon here. I would kind of like a Bellsprout, actually, because that would add a little bit of variety to our team in terms of types. And there's also the option to trade that for an Onix once we get to Violet City here. But we'll just see what pops up. And it's a Bellsprout, sweet! I have used a Bellsprout before. I think it's Soul Silver. I ended up using a Bellsprout for a little while. Unfortunately, it does require a stone to evolve, and getting stones is pretty hit or miss in this game, because they're just kind of hard to get. You can't really... I think there's like one of each stone you can find out in the general overworld and such, and then the only other way to get them is from certain trainers with their phone numbers, and it's kind of unlikely that they'll actually call you. It's really, really hit or miss. So we may end up with just a Weeping Bell for a decent amount of time. Alright, in terms of nicknames for this Bellsprout, let's see here. Alright, say hello to Brussel the Bellsprout. Every kid's favorite vegetable, of course. I think I had Brussels sprouts one time. It wasn't a regular staple of my childhood, but I actually did like broccoli, and I always have liked broccoli. Even as a kid, even when I was a picky kid who didn't like ketchup and mustard on his hot dog. Okay, so as you'll notice, it's now daytime. I originally planned on ending off the episode there, but then I went and edited together the footage, and I realized that I actually don't have a whole lot that I left in, so we're going to go ahead and continue on and at least do Sprout Tower in this video. I went ahead and grinded up my team just a little bit. Actually, don't want to have Brussel out in the lead right here. Brussel is not going to do very well against other Bellsprouts. Although they are lowered level, it would just be a bit of a slogfest trying to get, you know, non-super effective moves, or not very effective moves, off on one another repeatedly. It just take forever. So we're not going to be training up Brussels too much right now. Obviously, Tsunami is not going to be very useful in this area because of all the Bellsprouts, so we're mostly going to be relying on Scabbers, and especially Luke, because Luke has a resistance to Vine Whip. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. All these trainers have Bellsprouts, so I'm probably going to skip out, or edit out a lot of these battles up here, because they all tend to be pretty similar. Although, to be honest, at this point in the game, Bellsprouts give pretty decent experience. I remember this being a very good place to do some grinding before the first gym. Though you don't really need it. I mean, the highest level Pokemon there is a Pidgeotto at level 9. I mean, it is an evolved form, so Pidgeotto can be a little scary, but it's not that bad. So we should be able to knock out this Bellsprout in another hit here, so we don't have to worry about any incoming criticals. After this, I'm going to go ahead and pull Scabbers out and bring in Luke to finish things up, and then I'll probably heal Scabbers in between battles. And we just learned Quick Attack, which is, in these earlier games, is identical to Tackle, except that it has priority. They actually have the same amount of damage, I believe. It wasn't until 5 or Generation 6 that Tackle was actually given more damage. So you kind of have a reason to pick one or over the other, rather than, you know, just replacing Tackle with Quick Attack in every circumstance. So yeah, it looks like Luke is going to do very, very well in the Sprout Tower here, because he doesn't take like, any damage at all. I mean, that was a critical, wasn't it? Yeah, it did 2 damage. Yeah, Hoot Hoot, definitely a good idea to have for this first area here, especially if you picked up Totodile like I did. Obviously, Cyndaquil would make short work of this whole area here. And Chikorita wouldn't do too bad either. It would carry that resistance, although it wouldn't really have any moves that would be super effective. Of course, Luke doesn't have any super effective moves either, but, you know, I don't know if he actually learns any flying type moves. And there's level 9 for Luke, so right now Luke is one of our better team members, especially for this specific area right here. I'm really hoping he learns a flying type move at some point, though. I mean, even Peck would be nice. Let's see. So Scabbers is not doing too well in health, so we want to go ahead and heal him up real quick. Scabbers is a he, right? I think so, yeah. It doesn't display their gender on this screen here. I feel like it does that in later games. Let's actually look through, because I don't remember which gender each of these Pokemon is. So Scabbers is a male. Tsunami is also a male, I knew that one. Bristle is a female, and Luke is a male. Okay, that's good. I was hoping I didn't accidentally name my Hoot Hoot Luke when it was actually female. Alright, and with that, Scabbers is leveled up to level 8. Hasn't learned any new moves yet. I don't remember what level, I think it's like level 16 or something that Rattata evolves into Eradicate. And I forgot to head up this way to grab an item. By the way, there should be wild Pokemon appearing in this area, but I think the only ones you can find are Rattata, which of course we already have and can't catch another due to the duplicate clause, or Ghastly, which could potentially be what this is. Nope, it's just a Rattata. So we still have a catch for this area right here. I haven't run into a Ghastly. I don't know. It's possible you can only find those at night, in which case I kind of wish I had kept on recording last night when I did the first part of this video. Oh, so there's our first Hoot Hoot that we're going to face off against. So let's go ahead and bring somebody else in here. Brustle's still a bad choice against Hoot Hoots. Poor Brustle doesn't really have much use at the moment. Let's just bring Tsunami in, because we haven't used Tsunami in a little while. I believe Tsunami is 1 level away from learning Water Gun, although I'm not 100% sure on that. And he's also, at this point, 7 levels away from evolving. I think he's the last starter out of like every starter in every generation to evolve into his second stage here. Although he's the first starter out of any generation to evolve into his final stage, because he evolves into Croconaw at level 18 and Feraligatr at level 30. I do remember when I've played these games before, I usually have a Feraligatr by the time I fight Whitney, which is the 3rd gym. So, yeah, definitely an early evolution. But yeah, hopefully we get that Water Gun pretty soon, because we could use a good stab move on Totodile here. In the later games, I think mostly Gen 7, I think you start with your stab move. I mean, you know, the weak one like Ember or Water Gun or what have you. But that's always really nice, but here, I mean, it takes a while to get them. I feel like Chikorita learns Razor Leaf a lot earlier, though. Anyway, here we run into Ben again, and he's kind of a jerk to his Pokemon, apparently. And the Elder says something about, you know, he should treat his Pokemon better, blah, 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 blah. And of course, you know, this is a Pokemon game, so he's probably going to learn his lesson at some point, you know. Later on in the game. And he would have used an escape rope to get out of here, and we can actually pick up an escape rope and use that as well to get out of Sprout Tower. But honestly, it's kind of a waste, because it's really easy to get out of here. You'd be better off saving that for when you're actually deep in a dungeon and you really need to get out because your Pokemon are all weak or something like that. It's really a waste to waste it on Sprout Tower here. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can run into a wild Ghastly here before I fight the Elder here. Okay, so after, you know, about, I don't know, a dozen or more wild encounters, and all I found is Rattatas, I'm assuming the Ghastly must only be a nighttime encounter. Despite this being indoors, you'd think that, you know, Pokemon like that could still appear in like a dungeon kind of area. But, oh well, we might have to come back here later when when it's actually nighttime. I did manage to level up Bristle a little bit, because since all the wild Pokemon are Rattatas, you don't have to worry about weakness or resistance or anything like that, so I did manage to get him up a couple levels, but I ran out of PP really quick, because Vine Whip only has 10 PP. I think in later generations it gets raised to like 15 or 20, but still, it's kind of weird, you know, because it's a little, like, unbalanced, because, like, Totodile's Water Gun, for example, has, like, 30 PP, I think, and Ember has, like, the same amount or somewhere around there, but for some reason Vine Whip, which is basically the equivalent, because it also has 40 power and 100 accuracy, for some reason it only has 10 PP. I don't know exactly why that is. Anyways, Luke's a little low on HP here, so let's go ahead and switch out into Scabbers to fight the enemy Hoot Hoot. Interestingly enough, this Hoot Hoot's actually higher level than the gym, which is kind of weird. In the remakes, I think the Hoot Hoot stays around the same level, but the gym is actually a slightly higher leveled, and kind of to compensate, the Sprout Tower is actually required before you fight the gym. But of course here, it's kind of recommended, especially if you're doing a Nuzlocke, and there are actually severe consequences if you lose Pokemon. It's definitely recommended that you go in and do Sprout Tower first, even though it's not actually required. Alright, so let's finish off this Hoot Hoot right here real quick. And then the last Pokemon this guy will have is going to be another Bellsprout. Oh, and there goes level 11 for Scabrous, so that's good. I have a feeling we'll have Scabrous evolved sometime on the next route we head through. The next town we're heading to is Azalea Town, and there's quite a long route we have to take to get there and lots of trainer battles, so I have a feeling Scabrous will be up to level 16 or whatever level he evolves at, and we'll have a Raticate before too long here. And actually, I also wouldn't be surprised if before we fight the next gym, we have a Croconaw. Do have to watch out for the growth, because Vine Whip is still a special attack in these games, and therefore growth, which only boosts its special attack in this generation. I think it got changed to boost special and physical attack later on. But that's going to boost his attack power, but honestly we don't have to worry too much because a regular attack is doing 2 damage, a critical only do 4, and we finished off that Bellsprout. So yeah, not too difficult a dungeon, honestly, unless you didn't manage to pick up a flying type like Hoot Hoot or Pidgey. I'm actually surprised I didn't run into any Pidgeys, although I suppose that's probably because the last play session I had, I actually played at night, so I'm pretty sure in the encounter tables that Pidgey is basically just replaced by Hoot Hoot for nighttime, and that Pidgey are kind of like, in the sense of the lore of the game, Pidgey's probably sleeping and Hoot Hoot's out at night, you know. Anyway, so we just got HM05 Flash. It kind of sucks because Flash is still an HM in these games. Alright, so here we are at the gym. I went ahead, actually I was already stocked up to go into Sprout Tower. So I have plenty of potions, I should be good on that end. I don't think super potions are available yet, and I don't think we'd really need them at this point. And I gave 3 of my Pokemon berries. I have an extra berry, but Brussel I don't think really needs a berry. We're not going to be sending Brussel into battle, so, or at least we hopefully won't be. So I didn't think it's necessary, and even if we sent in Brussel, I have a feeling Brussel might fall in 1 peck attack, so I don't think it's really worth it to put a berry on her. So here's our second trainer, who I believe has 2 Pidgeys at level 7. I actually kind of hope I'm not right, because that'd be kind of sad if I know all these trainers' Pokemon rosters by heart. And it looks like I am right. Yeah, I have a feeling that last Pokemon is also a Pidgey. So let's go ahead and see if we can actually kill these 2 Pidgeys and get Tsunami leveled up to get Water Gun. In his base form, I don't think the stats matter as much. I'm pretty sure his Totodil's attack and special attack have such a negligible difference at this point that using a special type attack is not going to make any difference, and is actually going to be stronger than using Scratch. By the way, yes, I'm very, very, very close to leveling up. If I really wanted to, I could switch out Tsunami right now, but might as well finish off this last Pidgey and get to level 12 here. Not too difficult there, and of course Faulkner also has a level 7 Pidgey, which again is not going to be much of a problem. I'm more worried about that PIDGEOTTO. And yeah, okay, so his attack is a little bit higher. And I guess we didn't learn Water Gun. Alright. So let's go ahead and head on to our first gym battle here. I'm only slightly worried, honestly. I don't think I've ever really struggled against Faulkner in regular playthroughs. But I feel like, I don't know, I mean, we'll see. I think I'm at a decent level. I mean, most of my Pokemon out-level his strongest Pokemon, but it is an evolved form, and all my Pokemon are still in their basic forms. So we'll just have to see. This Pidgey shouldn't be too much of a problem, so let's go ahead and take that out first. And when he sends out his PIDGEOTTO, I might actually use a couple Leers on it to reduce its stats a little bit and hope it doesn't get criticals like that. I don't want to lose Tsunami this early. Obviously, a tackle critical from a Pidgey is not going to do too much, but PIDGEOTTO definitely has higher stats and could be more of a threat. I made a couple Leers off, hopefully, at least one, to reduce PIDGEOTTO's defense and leave an opening for my other Pokemon to come in and do a little bit of damage. Probably gonna get 1 Leer off and then heal. That better not do too much damage. Okay, good. That was a critical. That was a critical. Oh, and there's our berry, so I guess we don't really have to heal. But that was a critical? Holy cow. I guess I shouldn't be too worried about PIDGEOTTO, because Gust, it gets stabbed, and so would Tackle if it has Tackle. and that's doing almost nothing. So let's go ahead and heal up and kill it with a couple scratches probably. It's also got Mud Slap, but Mud Slap doesn't do so much damage. Mud Slap only has like 20 base power, plus it isn't stab. So Mud Slap shouldn't be too scary. It just reduces my accuracy, which makes the battle a bit more tougher. But we do have plenty of potions to outlast this Pidgeotto, and that did a decent chunk of damage, so I'm not too worried. Even a critical is not going to do enough to knock me out here. So, yeah, okay. So, I think maybe my worry about this fight was definitely misplaced. I didn't need to be worried at all about this, especially... I mean, I feel like for in-game purposes, your starter is always pretty good. I mean, unless you try and bring a Chikorita into this fight or something like that, but... Yeah, maybe we'll learn Water Gun now. That would be nice. There we go, there's that Water Gun. I was kind of thinking the Water Gun would be nice for this fight, but obviously we did just fine without it. And there's our first gym badge here. The first badge out of 16, actually. This is the only game in the series where you actually get twice as many badges as usual, because after we get through Johto and the Elite Four, we do have to fight all the Kanto gym leaders as well. Although, sadly, in this game, unlike the remakes, you don't get to rematch the Elite Four. I mean, you can rematch the Elite Four, but they don't get leveled up, so they basically... They're good grinding fodder, I suppose, if you're getting ready for the final red fight. But they're not any stronger, there's no difference, so I'm only going to do the Elite Four fight once. I don't feel the need to show it again, but, I mean, after I beat all the gyms, including all the Kanto gyms, the battle against Red is going to be a bit scary, because his Pokemon are pretty high level, so... Once we get there, that's obviously in the far future, so we don't have to worry too much about that at this point. But once we get all the way up there, I'm definitely going to rematch the Elite Four several times to make sure I'm leveled up high enough to take on Red. And I guess I didn't pay attention to what that call said, because in the remakes, you go to the Pokemart to pick up the mystery egg. But in the original Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal, you meet him at the Pokemon Center. I don't know why that change was made. That's kind of an odd, like, kind of random, like, oh, we're going to put him here instead of here. Okay, that doesn't really make much difference kind of change. Anyway, so we're going to heal up real quick, pick up the mystery egg, and probably end the episode off there, because we did do quite a bit in this episode. We went from New Bark Town all the way through Violet City, and we beat Sprout Tower, and we beat the gym, so I feel like we definitely did a decent amount here. By the way, since I did get this egg in Violet City, and I haven't captured any Pokemon in Violet City, I will be able to use this Togepi once it hatches, although Togepi's not that good. But yeah, I will be able to use it. But anyways, in the next episode, we're hopefully going to be heading down whatever route is next down here. And, is there anything else we can get to? We could go to the Ruins of Alph. I could catch an Unknown real quick. I might do that, although Unknown really isn't that useful. But anyways, we'll be heading down and hopefully getting to Azalea Town in the next episode. And we might possibly also fit in the fight against Team Rocket that's coming up. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. And if you have any nickname suggestions, make sure you leave them in the comments, because I'd love to hear them. I know we can encounter certain Pokemon like Mareep, and we haven't caught a Pidgey yet, so there's a chance we could pick up a Pidgey. And I know we get the old rod later on down here, so we could get a Magikarp, or I think you might be able to get a Tentacool with that as well. So if you have any nickname suggestions for any of those Pokemon, or any of the Pokemon that you know are coming up later, be sure to let me know. Leave them in the comments, and I'll be sure to consider them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.